That's okay. Yeah.
Minhas senhoras, meus senhores, boa noite. Muito obrigado por estarem presentes. É sempre um prazer ver esta sala desta forma. Poderiam cá estar todos naturalmente, mas sabemos que hoje é uma semana de formação à distância, pelo que estarem aqui é gratificante para nós também e para vós, sabendo que estes eventos que o Michel leva a cabo é naturalmente direcionados para vós. Agradecer da mesma forma a presença da Dona Isabel Martins, que nos honrar também aqui, Sr. Professor Ricardo Martins, Sr. Professor Luís Picado, muito obrigado pela presença, minhas senhoras, meus senhores, caros professores, caros ex-professores. É para nós um prazer termos aqui esta noite a presença de Mr. Reed McCauley. I'm sorry if I don't say very well your name. A conferência vai decorrer em inglês. Eu estou a fazer as apresentações em português, mas naturalmente, por uma questão de expressão, o nosso convidado irá preferir fazê-lo em inglês, embora já domine um pouco do português, e para nós também é um orgulho, sabendo que temos laços históricos e culturais de há longos anos, séculos, entre Portugal e a África do Sul. Mr. Reed McCauley is the first Secretary of the Embassy of South Africa in Lisbon, in Portugal. Is responsible for the promotion of tourism, business areas and South African investment in Portugal over the next 4 years. The new First Secretary has a degree in political studies and has 2 postgraduate degrees in political economy and diplomacy. Originating in the province of Free State, he has studied in South Africa and the United States, where he received in 2008 the Arkansas Traveler Award assigned by Governor Mike Huckabee. So I invite you, Mr. First Secretary, to join me in the table and to show a little bit of tourism of South Africa to our students.
Thank you very much. Boa tarde. Yeah. Let me first start by saying it is a wonderful pleasure for me to be here, and on behalf of the South African Embassy and the people of South Africa, it is a great honor for us to be here and to not only share the destination with you, but to be addressing a very important topic on the importance of tourism in the age of globalization, particularly focusing on the context of South Africa. So I'll try to be a bit slow in my address to you, and I hope to address some of the issues that US perspective professionals in the tourism sector will be dealing with. So let me first thank the program director and Mr. Nunush, the director, and any distinguished academics that are here. Of course, you guys are very important, invited guests, and ladies and gentlemen. It is with great honor and sense of privilege for me to be here to be addressing you this evening on this important topic. But just before I delve into the technicalities of my presentation, let me just share with you an anecdote that I think is very important, and you'll see how it contextualized in the broader presentation. I just recently came back from Porto, the northern part of Portugal. Of course, I was with my colleague Christina, and the purpose of the visit, of course, was to meet business associations and prospective investors to South Africa. And I recall one day after long meetings with some of these actors, we were in the hotel one evening, and I was looking up for interesting places to visit in Porto, you know. And I went to the lady at reception and I asked for Wi-Fi because I wanted to Google which places to visit while I'm in Porto. And the lady was polite enough to say to me, well, look, Mr. Reid, you can access Wi-Fi for free in the reception area, but in the comfort of your room is at the cost of €5, you know. And then I went up and then I did some searching. I came down and I came across my colleague Christina. And she said, hey, Reid, why don't you go to Ribeira, you know, in Porto? And I thought to myself, Ribeira it is, you know. So I called in a taxi. The taxi came, went to Ribeira. But on the way there, as we're driving on this huge bridge, wonderful infrastructure there, I must say, and the taxi driver drew me to the attention of another parallel bridge where the speed train was passing, but it was moving elegantly. If you've seen a caterpillar moving, it moved like that. That's how gentle it was on that bridge. And the driver said, well, here in Porto, we don't have subways like down there in Lisbon, you know, because the rock is hard. And I recall what my colleague Christina told me earlier on. But he said to me, the driver, that as you can see, we've got these wonderful trains. They slide on the rock with elegance. That's what we have up here. And of course, that was a wonderful scene for me. I arrived in Ribeira. I had my wonderful francesinha. By the way, if my pronunciation is correct, and some port wine. You know. But the point I'm trying to make here, ladies and gentlemen, today, and the reason for me to share this account with you, is to demonstrate the impact of globalization in the tourism sector and how this can be better leveraged in order to promote tourism. Well, in this instance, in my case, I only had to use internet, well, to search for places, transport, and telecommunications, because one had to call for transport. And I couldn't, what struck me was that the hotel had some kind of a rapport with the transport services as well. And this is very important because it addresses the topic that I will be speaking on today. What exactly is globalization, ladies and gentlemen? When I was doing my search, I think there were about close to 80 definitions that I came across of globalization. And all these academics trying to explain this concept. But I finally reached to this particular one, which I thought for a lay person, an ordinary person like myself, makes sense. Huh? So globalization is a term that is used to describe a number of contemporary phenomena. And these include converging technological transformations of telecommunications, the internet, television, the revolutionary transport, your high-speed trains that I saw in Porto. So, in a way, globalization is synonymous with interconnectedness. This is what it does. One of the professionals whom I had the honor to meet was Dr. Gabriel Pierre. He is the executive director of the Institute for Global Dialogue in South Africa. And this is how he captured the phenomenon of globalization. He defines it in this way, and I quote him verbatim. He says, globalization is characterized by a complex set of interdependencies and interconnectivities, with an increasing number of actors vying to influence the outcomes of relationships across a range of transnational activities, such as competing for resources, markets, and legitimacy. So in short, according to Dr. Lapierre, globalization is not only a systemic phenomenon, but crucially, it is an overarching international system that shapes, defines, and determines domestic politics, by the way, and international relations across the globe, drawing virtually every country and society into its gravitational pull. So, kind ladies and gentlemen, we can then deduce, based on what these experts are saying, that globalization is a catalyst, some sort of a catalyst, a seismic force. If you've seen seismic forces that form the continents, globalization is that seismic force in the international system that has created, amongst other things, interconnectivity, travel, and of course, making sure that there is interdependency. So what are we saying? Tourism is one of the largest industries in the world today. The importance of tourism in the age of globalization cannot be underscored, therefore. Let me tell you something that, and this came out of the report from the United Nations World Travel Organization, World Tourism Organization, and 2011 to 2012. And based on this report, they said that the global international tourist arrivals went up by 7% in 2010 compared to the same period in 2009. So the world is recognizing that globalization expedites tourism, and the world is leveraging on tourism. So this is a good recovery following the international global crisis, financial crisis that we had around 2009. But what fascinates me personally is the fact that Africa continued to grow, even amid the recession. According to the very same report I've alluded to, tourism in the African region grew by 6% between 2008 and 2009. By the way, I was still a student. I remember I was in the US at the time, and of the recession that was 2008 and 2009. And on the other part of the world, where I originate, tourism was growing. So, however, ladies and gentlemen, that being said, the tourism industry worldwide continues to be affected by a number of factors. And these include global exchange rate volatility. You know, if the exchange rate, the currency is not stable, of course, based on various factors. The increasing oil prices, of course. We all know, and you should know as students in tourism, that the oil prices have an impact on aviation fuel prices as well. And that means it strikes on the pocket of the prospective traveler and the affordability of access to long-haul destinations like South Africa. You know. But why the importance of tourism then in the age of globalization? Number one, here is an important reason: the change in technology. The changes in technology today have also resulted in the major changes in the way tourism industry does its work. For example, the internet has become an important source of information for travelers. It provides them with the opportunity to obtain information both directly from destinations and tourism business, as well as fellow travelers, you know. So that's one of the crucial reasons. There are also blogs that have been established, social networks, whether it's Twitter, whether it's Facebook, and other forms of social media. These have affected the way tourism has been practiced, at least traditionally. So, tourism or technology is increasingly substituting the traditional travel agent and other commercial enterprises as well as the chief mediator between the consumers, that is to say the travelers, you know, and tourism destinations, and a whole range of travel services as well. So in the future, ladies and gentlemen, the integrative information technology will impact on how travelers make informed decisions, and also the tailoring of holidays and new ways of booking and paying for travel. So that's one major change. Reason number two, consumer confidence. Consumer confidence in the aviation sector still exists, you know. Although airlines sometimes do experience difficulties in terms of and pressures in terms of passenger numbers decline, but there seems to be actions to create specials, with package deals, and low-cost flights that appeal to consumers. I mean, if you want to go on a holiday, the first thing you check is whether I will get an affordable and cheap option for you to go there, isn't it? So this is what the consumer is doing, and they are leveraging on the aviation sector. Third reason, demographics and lifestyle changes. We are seeing aging travelers, and it's a fascinating phenomenon. You've got that type of travelers. They've grown. They've paid their loans. Hopefully, the children have grown, and they just want to travel and have a good time. And so these are the kind of people who travel. But on the flip side of the coin, you're also seeing young people such as yourselves traveling with a different motive: to have fun, to have a good time. Of course, indulging in expeditions of discovery while in young age. And so a combination of these has resulted in what we are now calling combining unique travel opportunities with meaningful volunteer work. I've seen tourists coming into my own country, where I come from, but apart from indulging in tourism activity, having food there, and visiting certain destinations, that they also do philanthropy work whilst they're still in the destination, some kind of voluntary work, and this is increasing. So let me now come to the most important part, the context of South Africa. Ladies and gentlemen, I would like to describe my country as a teenager, because we are really new in democracy. I mean, if you look at the African continent, the whole 52 countries, we were the last ones to gain independence. And we went through elections in 1994. I still have vivid memories. Of course, I was small at the time, but I still have vivid memories of my grandmother. At the time, I think she was 79, and she was starting to be a first voter in her life because the previous regime couldn't allow her to vote based on the color of her skin. And she was looking forward to go and vote. And I remember her wearing a special traditional dress, looking forward to go and exercise her universal franchise, voting. You know. So we are a young democracy because now we obtained democracy in 1994. So you can add the years how old we are. Okay? We should be about more or less your age, if not a bit more. So South Africa has managed to stabilize its macro economy. So we managed to do that. And you know that we are major economic giants in the continent. You know, in nominal terms, of course. So the number of foreign visitor arrivals has since then increased from 3 million, a mere 3 million in 1993, to 9.9 million in 2009. That's almost the population of Portugal. So the 7 million out of those numbers that I've just quoted were tourists. So tourism is a priority sector for my government that has deployed me in this beautiful country that I continue to enjoy, you know. So in the government medium-term strategy framework, what we call the MTSF of 2009 to 2012, tourism was specifically identified as contributing to job creation and encouraging rural development. I'm going to address that shortly. But the cabinet, I think that was around 2010 when we were hosting the World Cup, and that was one of the great events that really showcased South Africa as a destination in the world. And earlier on when I was having my conversation with one of their colleagues here, they were telling me that there is a tourism and sport integrated a course or program that is offered. And I became delighted because sports played a significant role in South Africa in terms of showcasing South Africa as a destination and also introducing this country that some other countries in the world did not know. At the southernmost tip of the African continent, we are almost close to the Antarctica, you know. So, but what I'm trying to say is that when the new growth path document, that's the strategy framework, was introduced, they identified tourism as one of the pillars of growth to the South African economy. And so that just comes to show how important tourism is for South Africa. But another reason is that tourism helps international relations, government to government, country to country relations. It is also important to recognize that because tourism plays a role in strategically creating and strengthening international relations in order to build beneficial socio-economic and political networks. I think that's one of the reasons I landed here in this one, you know. So that's why. But furthermore, investment in tourism has to be better leveraged in order to contribute to the national growth and sustainable development of the country. So even though in South Africa we have not classified tourism as one of the sectors that contributes to the national accounts, but government has recognized that tourism is important. For example, there's a document called IPEP 2. It's a strategic document that analyzes industry sector per sector. And when they arrived in tourism, or the tourism sector, they identified 3 fundamental points of growth for South Africa in terms of tourism. And they were the following. Number 1, niche tourism development. So a country has got to find a niche for itself. A niche meaning that which makes you unique, that which sells for you, that which attracts the travelers. You must know what is it that attracts the Portuguese to South Africa. So that is niche tourism development. So that is one of the points that was identified. Another point was airline pricing structure and investigation. The pricing in the airline system has got a huge impact in whether someone is going to make a decision to go to that destination or not. And the third reason was tourism promotion. This is the one that we are actively involved in. It's part of the reason why I'm here in this country. Tourism promotion as well, very important. So after the 2009 elections, President Jacob Zuma in South Africa made a significant change in how the public sector was structured. And for the first time, we had an independent or autonomous Ministry of Tourism, whereas in the past, the Ministry of Tourism was attached to another Ministry of Economic Development. But we've separated the two and created a Minister and Ministry of Tourism because precisely of the dividends that the country was getting from tourism. So that was that just comes to show that the country prioritizes this a lot. And but the bottom line, what the Americans call "show me the flesh, show me the skin." What is the bottom line? The bottom line and the message that I would like to drive home today, ladies and gentlemen, is that government has to create sustainable jobs and ensure that poverty and lack of wealth is addressed in all areas, particularly in rural environments. Tourism allows government to do this, ladies and gentlemen. I have observed in a short period of time that I've been in your country, in Portugal. I'm here 2 months and a couple of weeks, and I've seen the tourism industry that you've got. I mean, I arrived here in the middle of summer holidays, and it's fun, and I've observed quite a number of tourists coming into your country. There's that hippo bus that I took that goes into the river, and then you're on the other side. You know, the Cascais travel bus, red bus that I took in Marquês de Pombal, and it took me to Cascais and back. And I recognized how tourism is big in this country. Yes, the coastal part of Portugal is very, what I can say, modernized. You know, we've got the cities located in this part. But on the other side of the country, there is the rural area. How then do you make sure that those people in the rural areas, having emerged from the economic crisis, have jobs? Tourism allows your government to leverage and to also assist in job creation for the people who are in the interior of the country. And it does the same in my country where I come from. You see, job creation was identified and tourism is a major contributor for that. That's the bottom line. So that's the skin I wanted to share with you today in the context of South Africa. So despite the fact that a number of airlines has declined to South Africa. So for example, in 1998, there were about 66 airlines, direct airlines, that were flying to South Africa. And by 2008, when I came back from the US to South Africa, I think 2008, 2009, there were about 58 direct air flights to South Africa. For example, when I flew here, I didn't fly direct, which I found quite bizarre. But I can fly to Mozambique and then come to Portugal. Huh? So despite that, but there's still an increasing, a rapidly increasing passenger movement there. So that's a potential. And the 2010 event allowed South Africa to revamp its infrastructure, sort of like the expo that was done here. That the same project was emulated in South Africa, and that boosted the tourism sector immensely. I will share with you later on some of the slides here, and you will see some of the stadiums that we've managed to build. I don't know whether it's in this slide or in the video, but it should be in one of the videos. So the hosting of the 2010 FIFA World Cup was a major boost for us. I've already mentioned that. But ladies and gentlemen, the realization that tourism creates jobs and contributes to job creation is important. If there's anything that you should take out in today's address, is that the tourism creates jobs or has the potential to job creation, which is very important. All of us want to have jobs, don't we? So for every $1 spent in travel tourism, there's about $3.2 that are generated in the GDP of our country. For instance, for each job in the tourism sector, for one job, approximately 2 jobs are created in the broader economy. If you have employed someone in a hotel who is working there all the time, and there is a sabi resort, there is something, and a tourist comes and works in that lodge, not only are you creating a job for the ranger who's there, but somebody else is benefiting who works as a domestic worker in the lodge, regardless of the fact that they are janitors. But they have got a job and they can put bread and butter on the table. So this is just the logic if I were to bring it in most simplistic terms. So tourism is a contributor of job creation, number one. Number two, tourism is a contributor to the national economy of a country. According to the National Department of Tourism, the latest statement I received in South Africa was that tourism is one of the leading sectors in the South African context. For example, in 2012, the international tourist arrivals grew from about 10.2%, which is more than the 2.5 times global average of 4%. Now let me be specific and come home to Portugal, where we are. SA Portugal tourism. Let's see how we fare. For Portugal specifically, tourism arrivals from Portugal to SA have been slowly but surely growing in the last few years. So that's very good for us. South Africa is also a home to a huge community of Portuguese-speaking citizens. So we've got a huge number of Portuguese in South Africa. So, but this also helps us to have traveling, but also impacts on tourism. Portugal has consistently ranked in the top 10 European markets. And you guys are sitting at about 7%, at about number 7, you know, compared to markets like, you know, the Netherlands, Germany, UK, France. So you are in the top 10. So that's still a healthy number in my perspective, of course. So this is very important. Of course, one of the objectives of my being here is to see that increasing. So it is important, ladies and gentlemen, and I put it to you, to realize that tourists are effectively ambassadors of their countries of origin. and can best be marketers for tourism in their countries. Let me repeat that again so that you can understand the statement. Tourists are ambassadors of their countries of origin and can be the best marketers for tourism in their countries. If someone from Portugal has traveled to South Africa and has had a ball, a wonderful time, they come back to Portugal and they recommend that destination. And that's part of the strategies that we as the mission are leveraging. And just before I conclude my presentation to you, I thought it best that I introduce the destination to you. But before I do that, I just want to gauge and have a sense. How many of you guys have traveled to South Africa before? You said? Okay. May I ask, where have you been in South Africa?
Johannesburg.
Johannesburg. Okay. Excellent. So you're the only one who's traveled to South Africa.
I was born in Mozambique. So
You were born in Mozambique. Okay, that makes sense. That makes sense. Okay, let me put you on the spot again. But how was your experience in Johannesburg?
I was there for all the day.
Mm-hmm.
Attend some medical attendance, and then I went back to Mozambique.
Excellent. He was there on a short duration, medical attendance, very important. What he does, most of the countries do. People travel to Angola, to South Africa for best medical procedures. The same applies to Mozambique. So it's quite common. It's something that we're familiar with. But just on the slide there to introduce you to the... Oh, I can click there. Okay. Okay, thank you. So that is the South African continent. By the way, South Africa as a country is about 13 times the size of Portugal. Yeah, so that just to give you an idea of the vast geographic region we're talking about. And we are a nation of very diverse people. There's Africans, there's Europeans, there's Indians, there's Chinese, there's everyone. We've got 11 official languages in the countries. Official languages, 11. Yes, we're about to add one, or in fact 2. Sign language will be added soon, and then we'll have also one of the ancient languages of the Khoi and the San people. But that is still under review, but we'll most likely in the future to have 2 additional languages in addition to them. As official languages, meaning that you can go to school and study in any of these languages. Of course, we like to dance, so much. And yeah, we've got South Africa is also home to 8 of UNESCO's World Heritage Sites. The gentleman that you see there on the picture is standing in the island of Robben Island, where Nelson Mandela was imprisoned. And when you were there, from that point when the photographer took the picture, you could see the background, the mainland, and that is Cape Town. And you can see Table Mountain at the back there. And of course, I like this, albeit I viewed it as biased, but it all got well for me, and I'm confessing here. It said that the British tourists voted South Africa as the most beautiful country in the world. And then a study that was done there says South Africa's scenery scored about 97%, 97.8%, the highest in the world, putting it ahead of destinations such as the US, Thailand, and Greece and Malaysia. And of course, if you've been to any of these destinations, you understand what I'm talking about. I mean, I was in Phuket in Thailand at some point, and I enjoyed myself. It's a beautiful country. But when I saw this score, you know, it gave me hope for my country, of course, naturally. And you can have endless adventure. You know, South Africa has been ranked 2nd the list of 10 world adventurous destinations, there are quite a number of things that you can do there. And one of the things is famous walks, what they call the trails, you know. And this one of the gentlemen who wrote a book, the British authors Stephen Watkins and Charles Jones, said that the walks that you should take before you die is in Cape Town. And of course, what I've come to learn tickles the fancy of Portuguese. What they like to visit in South Africa is this, the big five, the safari adventure. There you come face-to-face encounters with lions, buffaloes, elephants, rhinos, you know, and these are wonderful creatures. What you're seeing there on the PowerPoint is a male lion, and he is controlling the territory, and there are female lions there at the back. And you see the safari tourist with the game driver. It's fairly safe. I've done this quite a number of times. It's not fun. You can go and do this, and you see the animals like this, of course, on a good face. Sorry? Sorry? Oh, okay. Ah, oh, I see. Yeah, oh, the line, yeah. Okay, I get it now. There's the elephant, and when you see those people standing in front of the elephant, you will think it's unrealistic. It's very realistic, gentlemen, ladies and gentlemen. I have touched the butt of the elephant. In my culture, it's considered good luck, you know. Yeah, so there it is. So this happens. You can visit quite a number of destinations. And there's, of course, a new phenomenon. It's called underwater safari, where people go and dive and have these beautiful things. You can do this, of course, in animal shower. It's 30 kilos in the area of Devon. And there's the garden route. It's called the garden route for a reason, because it's like a paradise by itself. And if you've traveled with a train or road or bus here, it's the most beautiful scene that you can capture with your mind. And the only place where the Indian Ocean meets with the Atlantic Ocean. And can I tell you a very interesting phenomenon? While the Atlantic Ocean is very cold and the Indian Ocean in the Devon side is warm, I studied in Cape Town. And my friends who were studying in Devon said to me, well, the sea is nice and it's beautiful and it's warm, and I'm complaining about the cold conditions of the sea in Cape Town. But there they meet in the Cape of Agulhas, and it's very silent and beautiful.
No, this is the Portuguese word.
Yes, yes, you guys were the first arrivals, the first tourists. The first tourists, let me put it like that, to be exact. And the wine routes, as you know, like Portugal, we are in a wine exporting and producing country, you know. I would like to invite you, I've tasted the Portuguese wine and I'm loving it, coffee and other wines, please. I also challenge some of you to join me for South African wine. So you can visit the wine routes, and the sceneries and the buildings are deliberate. Some of them are ancient, they're like that. They've been built in olden times. This in Porto reminded me of this. When I saw that in Porto, I thought of this, the Rovos train and the Blue train in South Africa. It's luxury. It's like a hotel in motion, a moving hotel. And of course, you've got to visit the mother city, Cape Town. Cape Town, of course, was, according to the New York Times, was voted one of the places to visit in the world. You know, and oh, I see. Christina is smiling there. There is a colony of penguins in South Africa. I know Portugal has got vast and beautiful beaches. I've been to Oeiras, What is the other one in further south? I've been seeing quite a number of beaches. But we've got the penguin colony that is there. You see, where you can come to face with penguins and see them. And I know the Portuguese love to view and come close to these creatures, you know. So this is one of the things that they love. Of course, we've got our Karoo, which is semi-arid, and that is in the Northern Cape province. And you can see these sand dunes. But an interesting phenomenon happens between September, well, from August to October, is that the desert becomes a wonderful carpet of flowers. And this you can see. And of course, wonderful luxury hotels are there. It's cheap, it's value for money. Yeah. I've gone to warm baths myself, so I've experienced this. You guys have got the advantage of the exchange rate. It becomes very cheap when you go to South Africa. And the lifestyle and the food, the music, and of course the dancing is very important. And that's more on the destination, ladies and gentlemen. And so that's about it. But I'd like to share with you a video just for you to have on that. If you may kindly assist me.
What is beauty? Is it a view that's been waiting for you for centuries? A setting that gives you goosebumps when you see it for the first time? A scene so striking it remains in your memory forever. Is it a moment that stops you in your tracks and leaves you in awe? Some people spend their whole lives looking for it. When you open yourself up to it, suddenly you find yourself in a place where true beauty isn't something you'll ever see. Because in this place, beauty has a much deeper meaning. Which is why, when you meet South Africa, you'll reconsider what you think you know.
Yeah, thank you very much. I think it should be fair that we allow the floor for some questions and answers if there are any. And I hope I'll be able to answer. If it's difficult, I'll just get under the table. Yeah.
Thank you very much, Mr. Reid. It was a great presentation. I believe there is a lot of questions because if they don't know very well South Africa now, I'm sure they are very excited to know. So, if you allow me, I took some notes and I read in Portuguese just to help some questions coming. Ok? Muito obrigado. Eu farei um resumo muito breve, apenas para quem não conseguiu acompanhar integralmente a brilhante apresentação do Sr. Reid, para vos ajudar a constituir meia dúzia de questões e que possam refletir sobre elas. Deixa-me orientar aqui, portanto, o Sr. Reid começou por falar do que visitou em Portugal até agora, portanto, e teve a oportunidade de conhecer as belas ofertas que nós temos, fundamentalmente do Porto também, e vai conhecendo ligeiramente Lisboa. Naturalmente que a sua comunicação fez a ligação depois com os fenómenos da globalização que têm vindo a acontecer nos anos mais recentes, portanto, dá o maior destaque fundamentalmente para a questão da definição da globalização e das duas, digamos, das duas palavras-chave que define globalização, que é a intercomunicação e a interdependência. Fundamentalmente, são os sinónimos que definem melhor esta globalização e depois abordou outros temas como a internet, o transporte, a telecomunicação e os mercados competitivos. Eu notei em inglês, portanto, referiu que, de acordo com dados estatísticos da Organização Mundial do Turismo, a África continua a crescer em termos turísticos e a África do Sul é igualmente um país também em crescimento em termos estatísticos. Portanto, refere ainda porque é que o turismo será importante para a globalização e dá 3 pontos fundamentais para que justifica essa globalização, repito-me, em que fala inicialmente pela mudança da tecnologia e a tecnologia provocadora dessa mudança, fazendo alusão às alterações que o turismo tem sentido fundamentalmente através da tecnologia e dos modos de reserva que têm vindo a substituir gradualmente as agências de viagens, novas formas de utilização das redes sociais, a partilha também. Portanto, falou num segundo ponto que tem a ver com o consumer confidence, a confiança do consumidor, fundamentalmente na conjugação do preço barra confiança, ou seja, os consumidores hoje querem ter a certeza que têm qualidade ao mesmo tempo de baixo preço, e não podemos naturalmente fraudar essa possibilidade, essa oferta possível. E ainda um terceiro ponto as mudanças do modo de vida e do modo demográfico. Portanto, fundamentalmente, referindo que o consumidor hoje pretende divertir-se, pretende animação, pretende descoberta, pretende também, e recentemente mais, a questão da filantropia. Portanto, ou seja, viajar, visitar destinos, mas ao mesmo tempo contribuir para ajudar as comunidades receptoras. Depois entramos num ponto referente ao grande país, a África do Sul, e o Sr. Reid referiu fundamentalmente que é uma democracia muito jovem, portanto, da idade de muitos de vós, nascida em 94, falou de questões pessoais que ainda se recordam, obviamente, e depois em termos de números, que também nos interessa perceber, a África do Sul recebeu entre 93 e 99, ou em 93 recebia cerca de 3 milhões e meio de turistas e em 99, portanto 6 anos depois, perto de 10 milhões, em que 10 milhões de visitantes, em que 7 milhões eram turistas, portanto os restantes eram naturalmente, como sabem, excursionistas. Falou-nos ainda que o turismo é um dos pilares para o crescimento da economia do país. Portanto, uma democracia tão jovem e tão esperta, percebendo que, ao mesmo tempo, o turismo poderá ser uma charneira para a economia do próprio país. Portanto, referimos depois 3 pontos cruciais para o crescimento do turismo. O turismo de nicho foi o primeiro, portanto, o turismo de nicho tem a ver, obviamente, com a segmentação do mercado e saberem especificamente o que é que pretendem e, em vez de se venderem ao mundo, venderem-se a nichos específicos. Falamos num segundo ponto, que é o preço das companhias aéreas ou a investigação do pricing aplicado às companhias aéreas, fundamentalmente porque a África do Sul, estando na ponta de um continente, precisa naturalmente das ligações aéreas, não basta ter uma oferta no destino, é preciso ter estas ligações. E um último ponto que é a promoção turística, que referiu que é um pouco do que está aqui hoje também a fazer, e nós agradecemos, obviamente, mas é para despertar no mundo a curiosidade de conhecer. Falamos depois da bottom line, ao fim e ao cabo, que é a base do turismo, a base disto, que é a criação de emprego não precário, portanto, e fundamentalmente o emprego relacionado com o desenvolvimento rural também. Portanto, e neste sentido acabou por nos referir também que o turismo contribui fortemente para a economia nacional e que são estes dois pilares, a criação de emprego e a contribuição do turismo para a economia nacional, os dois grandes pilares que justificam mais do que tudo a grande aposta do turismo naquele país. Portanto, por fim, acabámos em grande, quando o Sr. Reid referiu que os turistas são embaixadores dos seus países de origem e são simultaneamente os melhores marketeers, os melhores promotores do turismo, do destino que visitam. Portanto, por um lado, transportam o seu país e a forma como se comportam justifica o país de onde provém, e por outro lado, se gostarem do que encontram no destino turístico, promoverão naturalmente pelos seus próximos aquilo que visitaram e ajudarão a vender ainda mais este grande país. Portanto, de uma forma resumida, espero eu, apontei aqui os principais, talvez tenha cometido o pecado de não ter dito tudo o que era crucial, mas ajudar-vos-á certamente a constituírem algumas perguntas. So, I hope you have understand something, because they do. Vocês poderão fazer perguntas em português ou em inglês. Se preferirem fazer em inglês, fazem diretamente. Se preferirem em português, eu tentarei traduzir para o Sr. Reid entender.
How is South Africa tackling with the distance and the railway routes prices?
Yeah, we can have maybe more than one question, and then I can address them. But you're asking about the distance and
how is strategically South Africa? How is the country tackling with the distance and the costs of airway travel to
yeah. So taking distance and cost.
Eu gostaria de saber se a promoção e a estratégia do turismo na África do Sul é feita mais por privados ou por públicos, pelo público. E como é que é de explicar?
Ok.
Isso.
Eu compreendo.
Eu gostaria de saber se o turismo na África do Sul está mais estão a tentar impulsionar para fora do país, a nível internacional, mas também o fazem a nível interno, uma vez que tem uma dimensão 13 vezes maior do que Portugal. Só mais uma. Posso? E se há
mais uma?
Sim.
Okay. Perhaps I should start by let me first start with the promotion of tourism specifically if we focus on the public sector or the private sector, well, the trend has been that South Africa has an integrated approach of tourism. Of course, in the public service, you've got the National Department of Tourism actively doing, but they're doing the work, but they are responsible for the policy, and they've got under them the agency, South African Tourism, which is the brand really that is responsible for the promotion of tourism. This is in the public sector category, if I may put it roughly like that. But in the private sector, what we are seeing, especially when it comes to business tourism, we're seeing, because we've got also a number of businesses that invest in South Africa, and by extension, it becomes, because they are established and then they invite people, then it becomes a tourism destination. So there is some sort of play between the interplay between private and public sector. So to be brief in answering to your question, the focus is not solely on the public sector, but it's a dual approach. But there appears to be more emphasis, if I may be frank, on the public side of things. So that is to reply to that. And to the first question that was posed, how are we tackling issues around the distance and the cost? Of course, you might be aware that there aren't direct flights to South Africa from Portugal. You know, of course, that's a challenge for us, and it makes me want to pull my hairs literally out of my head, you know, when I'm sitting there. It's a huge challenge because the accessibility of direct flights means that it is convenient for the traveler to go to the destination. So in the absence of that, you've got to come up with creative means of ensuring strategically that people still come to your destination. And one of the things that we've been advocating is for consumers and travelers to take advantage of packages of low-cost flight, albeit they're not direct, but to make use of those and fly to South Africa. There's quite a number of low-cost flights that even I myself use. So this is at the point in time what we are addressing. And my Minister of Tourism will be here in 2 weeks' time. And on the 20th, he will be here in Lisbon at the Sheraton Hotel to address some travel agents and representatives. And this is one of the things that government will be looking into. What do you know? Maybe in the near future, again, we might have that line open. But for now, we're taking advantage of those low-cost indirect flights. Desperate times. Yes, sir.
The country have good academic qualifications for work in the tourism area, or
In tourism.
yeah, in tourism.
Yes, absolutely. I can give you quite a number of institutions where you can have very good, internationally recognized and accredited qualifications. One of them, of course, is the University of Cape Town. They're big on tourism. So that's also one of the, they even have a school there. I think it's in one of their business schools where they do part directly with international tourism management. So that's one of the institutions that you can go to. There's Wits, what other people call WITS, but that's the Wits University. They've got a very good tourism faculty there. So yes, there are quite a number of good degrees that internationally recognized, their emphasis on that, degrees that you can obtain in South Africa.
Mais questões, Marcos? We have one more.
Eu gostaria de saber se na promoção do turismo em África do Sul, se existe a preocupação sobre as pessoas de mobilidade reduzida. O que se é um ponto importante?
Accessible. for the handicap? Is there accessibility? Is there provision for the handicap? Disabled? Yes. If you have seen in my video that we have played, I don't know if you've noted, the gentleman is actually blind. He cannot see. But the destination had the potential to meet his needs. And in South Africa, we've got a ministry of differently abled people. It has just been, there were two ministries, women and people that are disabled. Now we've got the Ministry of Disability that deals to that. So that's something that we take very seriously in South Africa, and I can assure you, if you visit a number of destinations, whether you go to the Apartheid Museum, whether you go to Robben Island, there is accessibility in terms of wheelchairs, trained, qualified guides that are able to take good care of the needs of people with various disability. As long as you declare that you are a traveler and you've got this, the needs can be catered for. So that is one area we are very ultra sensitive to. By the way, the Deputy Minister of the Disability Ministry is blind, completely blind. And when I met her, I couldn't tell she was blind because she's, someone who's very effective. I only discovered when they were escorting her out because she's highly independent. So yeah. So that's one of the most important areas for us. Well, I thank you very much.
Tiara,
if I go to South Africa, can I touch in the butt of the elephant too?
Of course you may. Of course you may. And there you will see, just to share with you as well, people have for centuries interacted with the wildlife, as you may call it. I'm reluctant of using the English word wildlife because for me it has different, negative connotations. But in my own indigenous language, I will be able to use a phrase, invelo, which means in touch with, we are in touch with nature. And it's not, you cannot directly translate it to wildlife. It doesn't do justice to it. So people see themselves as integral parts of nature. Just because we walk on two, we are bipedal and we have upwards, it doesn't mean that we should look down to the animals which walk on four. And that's the principle behind it. And people for centuries have always interconnected with nature and the magic in nature. Well, just to share a secret with you, before I went to my interviews to be posted, because there were quite a number of countries, I could have learned that in Timbuktu. I went to touch the butt of the elephant and I landed in Portugal. So, hey, you're welcome to do that.
Deixem-me só dizer, para quem está a assistir à distância, se quiserem fazer alguma pergunta, enviem por SMS. Portanto, só dar essa possibilidade também aos colegas que estão a assistir à distância. Because we have some several students watching by the video conference.
Okay. I didn't know. Of course they're welcome. Sorry, I was oblivious.
No. You have in South Africa international companies like the hotels to agree to invest in the country, or it's more local companies to invest?
I don't understand. Do we
You
have
like
international
companies
Yes.
To agree to invest in the country, or it's more about the local companies and create local business?
Yeah, thank you so much. We have lots of companies investing in South Africa. And just last week on the trip I was telling you about, where I ate the Francesinha, we met one company that is investing in South Africa also. It's a Portuguese South African scene. They are into painting and coating. They are investing in South Africa. They've traditionally been in Angola and Mozambique for the past 14 years. But of course, as you know, there are seismic changes in the international system. So they seek to expand the market beyond the traditional Portuguese or Lusophone markets because also of the crisis. So South Africa has got is hosting quite a number of companies, international renowned companies based in South Africa, because there's infrastructure, there is transport, there's open roads, there's the rule of law that allow investors to come. There is, you've seen high in infrastructure hotels. So the milieu, the environment does allow for investors to come. So there's quite a number of those. And Portuguese companies, there's a lot. There's a lot.
One of the things that Africa is known for is the artifacts, the handicraft things that souvenirs that tourists can buy and can take with them. I didn't see any of that things on the presentation. What I would like to know is how does the South African government think about the export of artifacts, handcraft cultural goods, and in those goods, the wildlife as raw material goods. How does the government?
Thank you so much. So that is a very important question, very fundamental. I think there are two sides to it, and I'm going to take on both sides. On the other side, I think we in South Africa have been oblivious of this beauty of relics that we have in terms of in the form of these traditional artifacts, whether it's beadwork and other crafts. But there are two memorandums of understanding, MOUs that have been signed. One of the premiers, the governors of the provinces was here. And when I examined one of the MOUs, I saw that there is a center that deals with jewelry making. And their jewelry making is based on indigenous systems of knowledge. And they want to use that, and then from the Portuguese, and see how they can also use the traditional one to modernize it, but based on the principles of old traditional artifacts, basically. And that is ongoing. So from the 9th to the 13th of October, we have that delegation coming through. And one of the centers that will be joining the working group will specifically be looking at that, if I'm not mistaken. So yes, the exporting of these crafts is very important, but sad to say we have been neglecting that. But it's something that we should be cognizant of. And I'm being frank with you.
We have the same problem.
Yeah. Okay. Senor, I don't know if she still has the question.
Sorry. Do you like Portugal?
Oh yes, I love Portugal. This is, of all the countries I have been, if I may confess to you, and please don't say this, and I'll deny it, but I say this with great confidence and a sense of pride as well. Of all the countries I have been, I enjoyed, and I still do enjoy Portugal. First of all, your warmth in the most fantastic way that I cannot describe in words to you. So the Portuguese are very warm people, very nice and welcoming people. So, and the lifestyle, of course, is nice. And I'm continuing to enjoy that. And yeah, I hope to be fluent by the time I leave here.
How do you describe tourism
Yes.
in Portugal?
I think it's dynamic, it's innovative. Of course, the players are small and they know each other. There's also positive competition there, but there's also collaboration there. We are able to reach some of the strides. We are a long-haul destination as South Africa. But I think some of the successes, even my predecessors that have been here before me, have been able to better leverage on those because of the fact that tourism is such a dynamic sector in Portugal. That is why my minister is coming here, because you guys continue to be very innovative and attracting the attention of South Africa. So tourism is doing very well.
Thank you.
Mr. Director.
Tiago,
I want to make a question about racism conflicts in South Africa. I think this is important. So, how do you think about these conflicts? Influence the tourism in South Africa? Do you think the European tourists have fear, or people of other continents have fear too?
Thank you so much. Well, most of our tourists are European, by the way. So I don't think they have fear at all. They come, they visit South Africa, and it's okay. Racism, yes. You will know that South Africa is one of those countries that has had a sad history of institutionalized racism for over a number of years, And I will admit to you quite frankly here that there are still incidents of racism. There are still people who do not want to change. But remember, when we have undergone the transition from the apartheid to the new democratic dispensation, it was a collaborative and joint effort between the former government and the current government. So South Africa did not in any way ostracize the former government, but it gave them the opportunity to also continue in the spirit of national cohesion. There are incidents of tourism, of racism, as you will see in the news now and again. I mean, this is common also. You see that in the US, you're seeing that everywhere. I think it will take a long way to resolve this situation completely. I mean, we are talking about over 200 to 350 years of colonialism and racial segregation, and we are about 22 years into democracy, and to erase that completely is going to take quite a while. But I assure you, tourists come to South Africa, they have a wonderful experience, schools have been integrated, so things are going well. Of course, we continue to have challenges.
Yes, I know you don't mention this issue, but I think it's important.
Yes, yeah. It's important that also it's an issue of discussion, because the only way we can resolve the problem is to go to the root of it. What causes it? Without the causality, you cannot resolve a situation. And the causality is to educate people and to understand themselves better. My parents, for example, were not allowed to go to certain areas, let alone become diplomats. They can only work in the garden or be a teacher. So that's it. But today I represent a country of 50 million people. I'm just 10. Well, I'm very young, as you can see. But it just comes to show how far we have come in a very short space of time. So it's a work in progress.
Your opinion not influence negative?
No, not at all. Not at all.
So we're gonna allow just one more question, the last one, because I know Mr. Reed has a very schedule, very.
Eu ia fazer uma, não é muito diferente. I will ask how the local people or the country react to the impacts of the tourism in South Africa or in the nature of South Africa, and if it had
Okay, the reaction of typical South African citizens. First of all, they will take you to a place where you will dance yourself. That's one thing they will do. And then they'll welcome you to come and drink with them and eat with them. So the reaction is overwhelmingly welcoming. That's first of all. We operate on the basis of Ubuntu. Ubuntu is a Nguli word which means I am because you are. Without you, I cannot be. And this is something we are taught from the time we grow up. So South Africans express this quite easily, Ubuntu. It's even if someone cannot be able to speak your language, but they will be interested to giving you a hug or literally showing you to a place. So that's the sort of the people that you will meet in South Africa. So yeah, that's it. One other thing that I would like to mention, I know it was not asked, but just to clarify it for your benefit. And I thought that question will come up. To my advantage, it didn't come up. It was the issue of the visa regulations, the new visa regulations that were instituted in South Africa. And that kind of had a negative impact on tourism. For example, in 2014, when the new visa regulations were introduced, a requirement was that people would have to first present an unabridged certificate that contains the names. If you are a parent and are traveling to South Africa, or a tourist are traveling to South Africa with a minor, you have to produce a birth certificate of the child, and it must have your name as a parent and your spouse's name to say that this is to avoid child trafficking. That was their whole idea. And the second reason was also travelers were required to show up at the mission in the embassy to undergo biometric testing, to authenticize your identity. Very important. And the third one also, so this sort of kept the influx of tourists in South Africa, because now people couldn't now go as usual to South Africa because they've got all these number of documents that they have to produce. And by the way, the concept of unabridged certificate is unknown to other countries, in as much as we thought it was familiar. So government recently announced the relaxation of this law because it really hurt our tourism sector. And now the law has since been relaxed, ladies and gentlemen. So travel or tour operators are allowed now to apply for visas on behalf of travelers without the necessity of cumbersome documentation. That's number one. And the unabridged certificate, they removed that unabridged certificate, but you should produce it, something that says this is your chart if you're traveling with one. And of course, there's concessions on priority markets such as BRICS, Portugal, of course, the UK, the US, and many other major markets where we know there's a lot of China, where we know there's a lot of tourists coming into the country. So this is where we are. So the Interministerial Committee at the moment is trying to review the law, because the law has to be legally scrapped out again, just as it was legally introduced. So that is the situation at the moment. So, and I thank you very much. I am new and I welcome to learn from you in Portugal. I will leave my contacts with Mr. Nunes, and feel free to communicate with the embassy if you want to. It has been a delightful pleasure to be with you this evening. Muito obrigado.
We just want to thank you for giving.
Oh, for next to.
Yeah, we have something in English.
Okay.
Well, this is my first syllabus to learn Portuguese. Thank you very much.